October 13, 2025, Goshen Board of Education meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Mr. Schinkel, can you please call the roll?
Mr. West. Mrs. Werke.
Here.
Mrs. Paprocki.
Here.
Mr. Rivera. Here. Mrs. Gray.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Moved.
Second.
And Bill, who's made the motion, Lisa, who's second. Any discussion? Mr. Schinkel, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Werke.
Yes.
Mrs. Paprocki.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera. Yes. Mrs. Gray.
Yes. I'd like to invite everyone to join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand and join our high school principal, Stephanie Walker, as she leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We welcome Principal Walker to share our student achievement for the night from Goshen High School.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here again. This is always one of the most exciting evenings that I have because, bragging about the people that you work with every single day is definitely a highlight for any educator. We do have a lot of people that we're going to recognize today, but if you would flip to that second slide, I've got a little bit that I want to talk about before I turn it loose to Mr. Wolf. As you know, I think sometimes we get, sometimes it's good to know why are we having the conversations that we're having. And the big part is I want to start by bragging a little bit because, of course, we're here. And we had a 4.5 rating on our report card from the state of Ohio. I tell you that because we are incredibly competitive at the high school. We're competitive at the district level, and 4.5 is fantastic. However, it's not good enough yet. It's not good enough. I believe that this time next year, I'm calling it out, we're going to be sitting at a 5-star rating. And there are some thoughts behind that as to why I think we're gonna meet that mark. You're going to see up here that college and career readiness, we had 4 stars this past year. The interesting thing about college and career readiness is that the data is 1 year in the rear. So although our report card was about the class of 2025 and all of our students that were here last year, anything that is CCR related was 1 year behind. So think about our class of 2024's data is in the report card for the 25 school year. So again, we got 4 stars. So we already know, and we have been extremely intentional about the work that we have been doing. We've put in the work. We have thought through and created goals that are going to result in us being a 5-star rating. Because it's a year in the rear, that's hard for me to say, a year in the rear, we already know that we have met the criteria to be a 5-star rating next year in CCR, which if all things continue, let's say equal to where we were in everything else, that is going to bring us up, I believe, to a 5-star next year. So I'm super, super excited about that. And I tell you that because I'm going to use the word again, intentional. We were super intentional about CCR and knowing what the criteria was. And yes, it's great to have a 5 on a report card, but the bottom line is that we have fantastic men and women that are here. And the driving factor for us is what is right for kids. But we believe, and I work with Pat on a daily basis, we believe so very much that, and you're going to see this because I say this all the time, a diploma is not our end game. I'm super proud again, another bragging moment. We have a weighted graduation rate of 99.2%. That is our 4 and 5 year composite weighted graduation rate, which is fantastic. And it's one of the very highest in the state of Ohio. Again, we get kids to the finish line, but if they get to the finish line and they don't have a plan for what's next, I don't know. Were we successful? Did we let them down? These are all things that we sit and we think about on a daily basis, because our goal is that we want Goshen graduates to walk out of Goshen High School with that diploma, but a plan, and then connections, and actually stepping foot into doing great things so that we're able to have a great future, a wife, children, if we select to do that, a nice car, a nice home. All of those pieces go hand in hand with being successful in the next steps. So I took a little bit of our SMART goals. And again, you're very familiar with the work that we do with the Portrait of a Graduate. And I know that Garrett will be talking a little bit about that here in a few minutes. But even further from that, at the beginning of the school year, we break down and we have goals from a district level. And you all are a part of that in the board retreat that we have. But then it goes from district level goals all the way down to building level goals. And our goals fall into areas of high quality instruction. And again, that's the meat of what we do every single day in a classroom. Talks a lot about student development. Those are things like mental health, engagement, being involved as a student, technology education. That's for our students and staff, and we'll see a little bit of that today. Communication, I forgot a comma, literacy, and college and career readiness. So those are our goal areas, and I highlighted a couple on here that is going to directly correlate with what we're going to see here today. So college and career readiness, we want to equip our students with transferable skills for high demand careers. So think about everything from engineering to the medical field. I could go on and on and on about the pathways, business, but also IT, and we're going to highlight that. This talks a little bit about partnering with colleges, employers, and networks for dual credit internships, pre-apprenticeships, and certifications. And again, pre-apprenticeships are going to be, I think, the heat and light that we're going to hear a lot about pre-apprenticeships in the next couple of years. But again, it's giving students experiences with paths that are out there. I'm a believer that, sure, if you get in here and you decide, gosh, I'm going to be in the IT world, right? I'm going to take a class, I'm going to get involved, but you discover you hate it. Absolutely discover you hate it. That's a win, because we can mark that off of the list of things that we're trying to, I say before we throw some things at you and we hope something sticks that you're going to love and you're really going to want to take off with that. But it's giving students the opportunity now to be able to live with that, so that we know we're not going to college or we're not going to a field and discovering a year in, when there's money and time put in, that we don't love it. So that's part of the beauty of doing this. The other part talks about hands-on learning, having 250 hours of work-based learning, credentials, pre-apprenticeships. Again, you're hearing that word again, and entrepreneurships. So again, it's an intentional focus that we're having on more than just a diploma. It's giving kids a path that they're going to go ahead and move forward on. So these are, of course, we're having conversations about what's happening in classrooms each and every day. But this is kind of the second prong that's going along with that. We hire great staff members to go ahead and give our children the most rigorous instruction that we can possibly give them, while we're looking at these pathways that we want our kiddos to go ahead and find something that they're going to love. So this is the why as to why I have these young men and women that are here today that are going to showcase some of the things that they're passionate about. So this is Garrett Walt, and he is our IT teacher, was an English teacher that we've talked him over to this side, right? And he is fantastic. He has taken our IT world, embraced it, and I'm super excited, honestly, about everything that you're doing and have done. So I'm going to give the floor to you and let you run with it.
Before I jump in too much to this, not to split your guys' attention too much, but I know these guys are probably anxious to jump in. So we thought maybe we'd show you a little bit of a demo over here. So Behind curtain number 1 over here, we have Ethan and Aiden. These are 2 of the students who are in the student help desk that we are currently running out of the high school right now. If you guys want to show them and get started here. So they're going to go ahead and do something that we see probably 2-3 times a week at least, I would say, which is a Chromebook with a broken screen that they're going to go ahead and replace while I talk to you guys a little bit about what we're doing and expand a little bit about what Ms. Walker said about why we're doing it that way. So go ahead and jump in, guys. So last year, one of the needs that we discussed as we started with scheduling, and we're getting kind of close to the end of the year, was this idea of finding more opportunities for students to get hands-on learning. In particular, we found that 2 kind of directions that we were struggling with is, number 1, finding a way to get students who have an aptitude for technology plugged in here at the high school. We've got really great opportunities in early grades. We've got the Slagle squad over at the middle school who are doing basic Chromebook repairs. I think they do a few screen repairs as well. But we didn't necessarily have great ways of getting those students plugged into those same sort of opportunities here. And then, as Ms. Walker mentioned, we're also trying to find more ways to get students to have meaningful, actionable skills that they can take with them into their career. I teach the early IT program here, which means that all the classes that I teach for the most part are dual credits through University of Cincinnati, which is a fantastic course opportunity, super great, amazing way of saving money and getting you a head start on college if that's the pathway that you want to go down, right? It's a great opportunity for those who are interested in that. But if that isn't necessarily your path, if you want to go more directly into a career field, or if you're interested in enlisting, or if you want to, just get a job while you work through courses like that, we didn't have a lot of opportunity for meeting that need. So what we added last year, Ms. Walker came and asked, hey, what would it look like? What would it take for us to be able to have some students doing hands-on tech work, doing screen replacements, fixing Chromebooks, updating things that need updated. The document camera, the exact one that they're using over there right now, we just rolled out to all the classrooms here at the high school, and that was these students who went around and implemented that. So we partnered with UC as an option for dual credit courses. I actually have some students who are in the help desk right now who are also with me doing dual credit classes at the same time as well. We also partnered with a foundation called PAST. Mr. Dubs came across that opportunity last year. They are out of Columbus and they do a lot of work-based learning opportunities. So they had a really great grant-funded opportunity for me to go up to Columbus a couple times towards the end of the spring term and essentially work with other educators who are interested in doing work-based learning, in adding things onto their caseload in the same way. And that was a super great opportunity to really flesh out what that looked like. And so the result of that was some of these students came in spring of last year, and we did a pilot program. We had 4 kids who all essentially happens to have extra time in their schedule. They were either in a study hall, and I kind of press ganged them into it, or they were in a dual credit class that just happened to be finished up a little before the end of the semester, since the college and the high school schedules don't always line up. And then they went around, and the main purpose was to get hands-on skills for them, to document a ton of things that we thought could work better, or processes, and just kind of figure stuff out. Maria Thaxton, who you guys know left us this year, but awesome part of our tech department for a long time. She brought us, I think, about 10 Chromebooks and essentially said, these are all dead. Have at it. Let's figure out how to repair them. Let's do some tear down. So these guys kind of did some disassembling, documented what they found, and then that formed the basis for what the students are doing now in my classroom. What that looks like in this year is during first bell and seventh bell, so the very beginning of the day and the very end of the day, we have a group of about 5 students in each of those bells, so 10 kids total, who are doing IT repairs. They handle loaner Chromebooks, so if a kid comes in and they've forgotten it at home, or it's not charged, if it's been lost or misplaced, or if there's an issue and there's damage to it, then those kids come down during those bells. These kids handle them. They come over to me and I say, talk to these guys right here. They walk over. These guys get them a loaner Chromebook while we work on repairing it, or a temporary one for the day. At the end of the day, they do the same thing. They wrap that up, see what everything has been fixed, and then they return them. Our green stack here is ones that are currently waiting repair. Our pink stack is ones that are done that we then send back out and get back into the hands of kids so they can keep learning and working. In addition to that, a few other things that they've worked on, they've also been adding some tech support opportunities. So I mentioned when we got these document cameras here at the high school, they actually went around to those classrooms and installed them for teachers and got them up and running, and just kind of went around and did that during a 7th bell for a couple days. We also have had a couple folks who, we've gotten word from teachers, hey, I'm struggling, I need to get this working, or this isn't connecting right, and these kids have jumped on it themselves. Miss Rammel the other day, Ethan jumped up and said, hey, she needs help with this in class, and went right up and helped her with it. And then finally, we also have the commercial printer that we added here as a great opportunity for doing our senior banners, doing stickers, all kinds of great stuff like that. Some of our students help out with that. Sarah in particular has been awesome about helping with organizing the art for that, getting the printer set up, getting things up there, and then essentially delivering them out to other places in the district. Just to talk a little bit about the impact that these kids have had in doing this, aside from all the things that I as a teacher think are great from it, things that have been great for the district itself. At the start of this year, we have a little bit of a backlog because of our tech department having a whole bunch of different plates that they have to keep spinning at the same time. We had about a little bit more than 80 Chromebooks that we would need to send out for repair. Essentially, these were ones where we know there's an issue with it. We're not exactly sure what it is. And we're going to need to package it up. We need to send it to one of our vendors. They'll take a look and let us know, which could be anywhere from, the minimum of shipping to, how much are we talking for some of these repairs?
We try not to go over $100 because the Chromebook only costs $200. So around that $1 to $115 range. But you're also talking about the time to get it out in the mail, then they have to communicate with us, get back with us, the overhead of us organizing all this stuff. It's a day now.
Yep.
It was weeks before.
Yep. And we got that number. The devices that we were not able to repair here that need to be sent out, we cut down from 83 to 6. That's the number of computers we have right now that, is something that they either can't do or something that hasn't been diagnosed. It's a bigger problem with that Chromebook. They've done over 120 repairs. So just like they're doing over here right now of getting that screen swapped out, we get tons and tons of these that come in, and in fact has kind of led to some opportunities as well, which I'll talk about as we talk a little kind of about where this is going. So it helps us save on cost of repairs. It makes it so that we have way quicker turnaround. Like Mr. Slagle said, some of these kids, we got some that came in that backlog who have had a loaner Chromebook for, a couple months before the end of last school year, and it still hasn't had a chance to get back in their hands because it's just, we've got a million other things that we're kind of jumping onto with the tech support, and these guys have been able to get that handled super quickly. They also have had a ton of insight into our systems and our tech things. They're the ones who are in there every day logging this stuff, and it's been huge for them to say, hey, I know that you had this great idea, Mr. Walt, about how this was going to work, but actually that was a terrible idea, and you're an idiot. Here's what we should do. Actually, we should fix it. Trust me, these guys are not at all hesitant to tell me when my idea is terrible. And then obviously they've got some skills and experience. So to mention what I said a little bit about how we're expanding options and how this is kind of leading us in some different places, with Maria stepping away and we now having some new staff that we're training up in the tech department, they've actually started to essentially have inter-office mail for Chromebooks, where we're starting to get some in from the middle school, we're starting to get some in from Spalding and Mark Cook, and then our students here at the high school are able to do some repairs on those, send them back over, and we have, again, a turnaround time of a day or two for something that instead would have taken us, weeks to even get sent out, much less than to get back to us and repaired, regardless of what that ended up even costing us. Some things that we're looking at in the future, we want to continue to have these high school students offer some opportunities for support, more things that they can do to help out teachers. We want them to develop ways that we can have those same systems for getting stuff from other buildings and over here and expand what that looks like. We're talking about some possibilities of maybe even ways that we could get some of these students, similar to how we've done with Project More, opportunity to be in some other buildings, doing some work supporting teachers, doing some immediate repairs for needs as those arise. We're going to start sprinkling in some professional development opportunities. Paige Visaggi, who's working with our college and career department, Mr. Dubs over there, she's going to help put together some opportunities on resume writing. These kids are doing stuff every day that is awesome to see on a resume, being able to turn around and say, let's get your verb, let's talk about exactly how you put this in here, let's list it out, because literally right now you're essentially doing a pre-apprenticeship, you're doing hands-on on-the-job training. Let's advertise that so that you can really have that, future pathway that takes you out of Goshen High School and into something, for your life as well. And then also future work and internship opportunities. We're partnering with Inner Alliance, and at the moment, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's looking like in second semester of this year, the students who are participating in that first and seventh bell time period will actually be able to receive compensation for their time as well. So they'll get a pay rate of about an hour each day, which adds up to quite a bit of extra change. You know, they're doing it for one of their bells out of their day, but they are also doing tech work for us as a district. So similar to how we've had students come in as interns for the summer, they're basically doing that same thing, but right here. And Inter Alliance is fantastic because they use state funds in order to essentially reimburse the full cost of that. So we can pay them and it doesn't actually cost us a dime. So it's kind of winning on every possible front for how we handle that basically.
Can we just give them a hand of
So Ethan, is that finished?
I had to go in and actually unplug the battery because it would not actually turn off when I was pressing it off.
Okay.
So it is not completely finished because I still have some screws, but it is almost done.
So
I
tell
see the
us
Chrome OS icon.
what you did just now in that 5-minute period of time. What was your task? What did you do?
So my main task was to fix the screen throughout here because you guys noticed it was all white, there were black spots and all that. I mean, there's a yellow line right throughout here, if you can see. I did not notice that was there right beforehand. So that was something interesting to figure out when I saw that. That kind of made my heart drop for a second. Not gonna lie to you.
Oh.
But you know what? If you sent that computer away and you had a tech person that was working on that, they would have done the exact same thing, right? And then the yellow line would have been there. And then the next step is, oh, wait a minute, I've got to go back and problem solve that again, right? Just as you said with the battery too.
That would be just another screen, probably just swap in the screen. That's just that problem there.
Yeah.
And also during that 5-minute time period, I actually had already swapped this screen, and then I was getting ready to plug it back in to the computer, and then the computer would not start itself, so I had to go back in and actually unplug and replug back in the battery, and so then it worked. I don't know if that's
That's a lot to do for a short period of time, man. Good job.
Yeah, no kidding. And Garrett, if you would, could you get all of your kids to get up here, maybe do an introduction, and then I'm going to have you answer 2 questions. One is, when you're thinking about post-high school, what are you thinking about doing? Whatever that looks like. And then also, what skills do you think you personally are getting out of being a part of this?
Come on up over here, guys. We'll finish that up in a minute. Come on up. So I'll introduce these folks. While they're on their way up here, I'll mention we have a few folks who weren't able to be here this morning. We have Lindsay Cameron, who is in my first bell, as well as Elijah Harrington. And then in addition, we have Pearson Peyton Robinson, who just last week, I think, were taken out with one of the various illnesses that floats around these days. But our group that we have here, we have Sarah Healy, we have Wyatt Vance, Ethan Holscher, Ethan Bond, we have Carson Schurz, and we have Aiden Davis. And then if you need a reminder, Ms. Walker's 2 questions for you guys are, what are your plans if you've thought that far ahead? What you're thinking for after high school? And then what are some skills you feel like you've gotten out of doing this opportunity for me this year?
Hi, I was planning on going into IT even before this year, but I think getting my hands on some of it has definitely helped me to figure out that, like, oh, it's actually something I can manage, like not just this thing that I might be able to do.
I'm planning on going to IT.
What have you guys, and Sarah, you did not answer my second question. I'm going to go back to you. What is, other than discovering that this is really what you do or what to do, what is something that you've taken away from this experience, maybe that you learned that you didn't otherwise learn?
I don't know. It's definitely helped me to work more with people. I do printing stuff like he mentioned, and so I have to talk to a lot of teachers and administrators and figure out what's the best thing to do. So I feel like that's helped me get people skills.
Pretty much same thing for me, people skills. I've done a lot of that.
you're on a first name basis with a lot of the teachers now from having to bring back Chromebooks for kids who forgot them and stuff.
All right, I want to go to college. I'm not sure what for yet. I could get into something like this, maybe. And I feel like this has given me the opportunity to learn that I could do something like this, possibly in the future for a career or.
And if not a career, you can fix your computer at home, right? Right? There's some skills in that.
I'm planning on going into something along the lines of IT. And one of the major things I've learned is also like problem solving skills. Like you saw over there, the problem that I had with the battery that came up last second. I just came back in, unplugged it, plugged it back out. That's a common problem I've had way more than just what I had over there. So just problem solving skills like that is one thing I've definitely learned from just helping fix Chromebooks every day.
I want to go to college for computer engineering. This job has helped me learn problem solving, especially how to pivot during a job, because things don't always go as they're expected to go, just like with that repair. So I have to find myself searching for the problem and then finding it and then going in to repair it. And it's like, oh, this is also a problem that I need to go in and fix. And it's just changes in the job that I have to deal with, and it's a learning experience.
And I went to go to college throughout the IT industry, and this lets you get some hands-on learning. Otherwise, you might not always be able to get unless you work around problems that you can get as was shown, and lets you get some good skills.
It's very good. And again, this whole kind of process, this IT kind of help desk notion that we have here was a really authentic conversation that the three of us were having at the end of last year when we were talking about what is our vision and how do we give kiddos experience, but also like make our school district better. And they're definitely a great group of kiddos to help us out with that. And now we have these bigger ideas because you're letting us know and letting us see that it can be done. So it's wonderful. Did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to also point out additionally on Wednesdays during lunch, there's a partnership that's emerged between Interalliance and the Claremont County ESC took a lead on helping organize that. But some of these young people are taking their lunch on Wednesdays and are part of the Jumpstart program where they are working with students from all the Claremont County schools on IT focused topics. Sarah, you want to maybe just talk a little bit about that, and the others can jump in, but I know you're not afraid to say something. So what's happening during Jumpstart?
We've met with a lot of people from different parts of the IT industry. We've met with cybersecurity people, we've met with data analysts, and just all kinds of people from different walks, I guess. We even went on a field trip last week, and I feel like that's just showed how broad IT is, how much you can get into if you just work hard.
Anybody else talk a little about Jumpstart?
I could jump in. It's definitely very helpful to try and find a career to get into college for. A lot of people come in for the Google Meets we do, or I don't think they're the Google Meets, but they're a meet of some kind. So they get a lot of people on there to talk to us about their jobs and what they do.
Who's your favorite person you've talked to so far from the business world?
It's a great question. I guess I could say Keith, he's the CEO, I think. Was Keith the CEO?
Yeah.
Keith Coney, he's the head of Interalliance. So
Yeah, the head of Interalliance. He's been really good to talk to. He kind of brought this all together. So
they've been with Tata, they've been with P&G, who else have you been with? I know you didn't you US Bank too? So I know that you've done those three so far. Who else am I missing?
Fifth third.
Who?
Fifth third.
Fifth third.
But again, they're rubbing elbows with some folks that are working in these businesses. So again, you start building relationships and connections that ultimately down the road could land you or help land you your first position after high school, after college, whatever that path looks like. So that's super exciting.
I should mention as well, we also just recently, you reminded me of this as you mentioned just a minute ago, Pat, were invited by UC for the early IT roundtable that they've got coming up to share out a little bit about what our approach has been, which I think is huge because I go to those things sometimes and I hear folks talk about, oh yeah, over here at Lakota, we're getting kids recruited right out of our cybersecurity program and stuff. And then to have us come from Goshen and say, well, here's how we're doing things over here that's a little bit different to get the kids these opportunities and help them figure out what they're doing.
And Garrett, one more thing that's just happened. Talk about the cybersecurity class that's been added.
So next semester, we have a cybersecurity elective, which we're doing here at the local level. The curriculum's based on stuff that's offered by cyber.org. Basically just because we had a need for it. We heard from the BAC and we heard from colleges that this is something that there's an increased need for. And we kind of added that with the assumption that we were thinking UC would kind of meet us partway on that a little bit later. And we actually just got word about a week or so ago that UC has now added a cybersecurity option intro course as part of their early IT program. And we're already approved to get doing that. So starting next year, we should be able to offer dual credit UC courses in cybersecurity here as well.
So I have a question. What year, like would those be mostly juniors, seniors? Could be first year kids taking cybersecurity?
So it depends on the course. They have a progression that they like to follow, but they can kind of go a la carte a little bit depending on the student and their approach to it. Generally, we'd have kids freshman, sophomore year looking at our fundamentals of IT, which is sort of the intro. We always kind of compare it to the sampler platter where you get a little taste of everything to kind of decide what you're most interested in. And then it's kind of started moving in a direction where there are sort of pathways from there depending on what you're interested in. So if you're like Carson, for example, and you're more interested in the programming and computer science, from there you might go into the web development and programming courses with the assumption that then you'd be going to college or something like that. But they also then have networking courses and system admin, which would then maybe lead into cybersecurity as you're becoming sort of a junior or a senior student as well. Really, they can take them at any time. It's just making sure that they have the requisite knowledge. Every once in a while, we get some superstar students who like, I'm ready to jump in, let's do it. I'm ready to get started as a freshman, as a sophomore. But you're absolutely right. It kind of is a progression as they go along. So they can pick and choose a little bit. But then for those higher level classes, we're definitely looking at students who have gone through a little bit and those who are kind of interested in getting plugged into opportunities like this.
Awesome.
I'm super impressed. I oversee student success for the College of Nursing at UC. And I'm talking to my students that I teach this semester about networking and some of the things that you guys are already doing as high school students. So, you don't just, every student has this opportunity, but you guys have stepped forth and said, I'll do it. And that initiative is incredible. And so congratulations and kudos to you. And I know your parents must be proud as well.
To get a head start on it, I think before you even step foot on campus, I think it's just amazing.
Incredible.
I mean, that's when I started at Ohio University, it was I was electrical and computer engineering, and my head started spinning as soon as I stepped on foot on campus. Not everything had ever stopped. I mean, I didn't know what that was going on. But to have at least, you get a little head start here, so it's plus your freshman year you go, and if you want to work while you're on campus, you can get a job at the IT help desk right away. Most freshmen end up working in the cafeteria or something, but you go right in your IT desk. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Great. Super excited for you guys.
Well, I think if you go back to the slide that Stephanie kind of started with, the diploma is not our end game. This is true testament to that. And I think when you think about all this that's going on at our high school, whether it be the IT program, some of the tech credit programs that we have going on, CAP, I mean, we're providing a bunch of opportunities. And I think when you have kids come in and explain it, you can kind of put all the pieces together. But I think the thing that we have to remember as a board, and I have to thank our administration for, is you're still living in a high school schedule. It's got lunch in the middle, 7 bells, core curriculum, and you got to fit all these pieces together because it is what's right for you guys. It's what's right for the kids to put these programs in place. And, I think the state of Ohio doing some of this, putting some heat and light on college and career, I remind you of this. We would have been a 5-star, but too many districts look bad in the college and career. So they changed the metric mid-year. So I'm going to stick with I hope that everything you just presented, that it's a 5-star, that they don't go and change it again. But I think in the end, the 5-star is just it's a measure, but the outcome that you guys are getting and what I'm seeing from high school kids standing in front of a board, talking about their experiences is a win. So, and I thank Mr. Walt, Mr. Slagle, and Mr. Walt. There's never been a no out of that guy. I mean, it's like, yes, come and give me some more. And
I should also
it's
mention
coursework.
Vic Davis and
Yes.
Dave Fight, who are our two IT folks.
Yep.
They've helped a ton with jumping in, showing these guys how to do some stuff.
And like our goal down the road is whenever a teacher or a student at any point throughout the school day is having a tech issue, our goal is that we would like to be able to have somebody that's on call, that's here, a student that can go and problem solve that so that we're not having lost instructional time. Kids are not losing the opportunity to be able to do the work. That's the big picture. And I think this first step that we're doing right now is telling us that it's very possible. We've got brilliant, smart, fantastic kids in our building that can do the work. It's just figuring out the system to make that work for us. So it's I can't wait for.
You do have
2
more
years
than
down
a
the road.
team of 3. I talk to Mark every day, and you guys are going to learn this. Technology touches everything. I mean, you're diving all these paths in the intro piece, but there isn't a day that goes by that I don't have to say something to Mark about something tech related, not just whether it's infrastructure or it's just hitting the on button, Mr. Bailey. But it is, you guys are getting into something really useful. Even if you don't go to it, the problem solving, all those pieces that you're getting into will help you down the road. I'm going to give you a Goshen pin for going above and beyond. Mrs. Scherzinger is going to give you a certificate for being here tonight. And if you brought parents with you here tonight, when I introduce you, you can, because they're supporting you as well. So if you don't have parents here with you, no big deal. But if you brought your parents, introduce them when we introduce you.
Right, Ethan Bond.
Ethan?
Yes.
All right, my parents are right over there. So,
There.
Aiden?
Sarah Gilly.
No, your mom.
Recognize this.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. That's a good handshake. Thanks, buddy.
Hey,
Yes.
my mom and dad are not here.
Yeah.
Garrett Walt.
I do want you to know that Garrett did all of his coursework to teach these classes while teaching full time. So that is, he was giving kudos to everyone else, but kudos to
Yeah.
Mr. Walt for doing
So
that.
Garrett, you're a former English teacher? Was
Yes,
that-
I have a master's in English and I'm about.
Was missing? Did that drive you crazy there? Are you glad Mrs. Walker pointed that out?
I wasn't going to say.
I didn't notice it until I was there. I was like, oh, yeah, not good.
No one will take my Oxford comma. And thank you guys for all the support that you offer to programs like this. We really appreciate it.
Well, hey, looks like you might have saved the district $7,700, right? 83 Chromebooks down to 6 now. I mean, on average,
That's
$100
way
a
less.
piece.
Way less.
Yeah. Great,
Well, we
great
want to
job.
thank you guys for coming. You're welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting, but you're not obligated, of course, because we understand you have lives. So thank you for coming, allowing us to hear a little bit of your lives while you're here at GHS and all that you do to support us as well. So thank you.
Very good.
Parents, that's you too. If you guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Glad they did that.
It's awesome. Those are the kids that don't have the good. Thank you so much.
They were smooth as glass. It was awesome.
I know. So moving on, old business facilities, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, I just want to give you guys again, still 50,000 foot here, but it's getting a little lower. Maybe we're at 40,000 feet. We're starting to see some pictures, but we're still working on the timeline, which I'll kind of share with you on the last slide so that I can remind you. But really, we've been through the design phase, and I just want to reiterate as we go through this, the whole reason that we purchased the property up on 28 was to renovate the current board office to get 5 to 6 classrooms back. Really feeling like 5, 6 is not a stretch right now as we kind of go through and think, as we've talked with Mark Cook and as we've gone through this renovation process, just the design piece of thinking what can go in there, besides the 2 classrooms that are added on to the side, to the treasurer's office side, what we can pull into those small groups that are taking classrooms, OT space, and the library. So I think 6 is very easy. I think that, again, 6 classrooms to add on to Mark Cook, double the cost. So just right now where we're at, this was the fun part. I had no input on this part of it as I don't at home, but interior finishes, as we got into colors and pattern selections, that kind of match the feel of the building. There's not a ton of color in Mark Cook, but trying to put something in that for this space. Kind of see the overhead view. And this is without the treasurer's side attached. But what we would be doing from an overhead standpoint, kind of wayfinding with those colors is what they say. Everything you see furniture wise, we haven't really picked yet, but it's all movable unless it's on the wall. So all this will move around, make the space flexible. That is one of the classrooms on the treasurer's office side, just a view of what that would look like as you're looking. Kind of the windows probably are on the wall that was at the bottom of the screen, I guess, orientation wise, for the treasurer's office side. This is kind of a look that looks like you're probably standing at Danny Dietrich's desk and kind of looking out towards the double entry there to Mark Cook, and then obviously this is kind of double Cook entry to Mark Cook, and then this would be Mr. Turner's current office where we put no TPT. And then you kind of see the 2 bathrooms. We're going to be dropping those, setting those in so the storage that are inside of there goes away. But that kind of becomes a flexible area in that space as well. So it's using the space, as efficiently as we can. You can't see to the other side of this is obviously the small group rooms that'll be there as well. Just another view of it, probably from Missy Smith's kind of viewpoint where Emus sits behind a wall now, kind of coming in, looking back towards the other side. So questions on that? I mean, we're really essentially nailing down to the finishes, doing some furniture selection, and then we'll be into the estimation and the bid process to see where we're at. So I feel like we're on budget right now with everything that we've talked to SHP, but obviously kind of go out to bid for that to understand where we're at. If there are, I don't think there's any big, I mean, the ceilings are staying the same. Those pennants you see are just kind of acoustically and a little bit of a different mood lighting that'll be able to drop down from there. So really it's the walls and guts that are there, and we're just gonna repurpose it.
6 classrooms, huge.
Yep.
Is it, I mean, we just wait to see where the need is, like what classroom is needed in there, right?
Yeah,
And
I've talked to both Mark Cook and Spalding, because there was a lot of, as we started through this, there was a lot of angst on are we moving grade levels. And, my statement right now is I've showed them, and I looked at our enrollment study from last month that I presented to you, and there really aren't any changes. But I've kind of shared that with them, that's what we're watching. We're going to see if there's an influx of a certain grade of students, then we'll have to make a decision. But I don't plan on making any decisions for next year unless we're forced into it. So right now, our building makeup will stay the same unless we see something over the summer that makes us go, whoa. Because it's not good for teachers. It's not good for organization. I mean, you have to have a plan for it. It's really hard just to say, here you go. So we're a year or so out from utilizing that. But it'll give Mark Cook some flexibility as well. So, good question. Any others on the Mark Cook space? Okay. The board office space, as we've kind of looked at the blueprint or floor plan of it, kind of same overview. I've looked at it so many times. If you guys haven't, try to stand up. So this would be the entry coming in from the front. Parking lot's all out here. Kind of the reception area, and then offices around the outside of it. Kind of a PD area, boardroom, whatever it might be here, with a workroom here, conference room here where we could hold larger conferences, some flexible workspace in the middle here. We have auditors come in when we have traveling folks, that need space, easy to give them a work area to work from. So really, this is, again, we were given 4 walls with the square footage and just trying to work office space around it. This is storage here and storage here, really treasurer's office files, and then personnel files in the back. So we're using the space as efficiently as we can, but also accommodating for growth in this as well. So again, we went to color selections. Now this one you can go a little bit district themed. So you do see some red and gray in here because it is, central office. And then kind of this would be the reception area as you come in. Really counters there. It'll just be kind of repurposing it a little bit. And then some walls, but it's kind of the reception. And then that would be the conference room that was in the middle of it. Just trying to use some branding, and I think we'll still go through this and how we do it. The training room or PD room / boardroom, community use room, that would be in there. Those 2 double doors, all those tables would slide into there. So you've got storage in there where we could just put chairs out if we needed to, but that will store, the seating and make that a flexible use space in there as well. So I think that is it. Reminder, this is kind of the, what week are we in? Week of the 13th. Floor plans with furniture storage layouts and 3D with finishes. So we're kind of getting into that phase. I think we set our next meeting, I think it's for next week. I think we're a little ahead of schedule on this last go around, so which giving them some time. But again, I'm not an architect, but CD page turn is essentially when we are heading into that bid component where we know we've got everything that we want in it, understand the estimation cost, and would be headed out to bid for that piece of it. So questions on any of that?
With what you've seen so far, have you SHP presents it to you, or would they show you like anything like real eye-opening, like, wow, I never really thought of that, or that's a really.
Yeah, I can give I think the Mark Cook space, when they started to show that, it's just, it's great for kids.
For having, great.
Looking at that piece of it, an office is an office. I get excited because I think it, from the board office and administrative side, that does kind of give a focal point for our district as you're driving into town. This is the school district, but just as you go through this, I think the excitement kids will see when they walk in with space instead of, 2 classrooms, that's a library, and, just the space to be kids and move around a little bit, and the flexibility of that was my wow. I don't know.
Right. Oh, I agree.
Yes.
The colors, like how much
Yes.
is like the colors have an impact, or just little, the light fixtures
Things
hang
like
out.
dream
Like,
and
yeah.
dreams.
That kids see that. It's.
Now you get jealous that it's,
like
we've got this high school and it's got great spaces. But I think some of the things that you'll be able to see teachers and staff do down there at Mark Cook, which is even certain small group work and, teamwork and pieces of that, the innovation piece and that. And just some of it, just letting kids go be kids in those areas and do self-guided, tours of the library area or whatever it might be. So, but that's our teachers. They'll find the great way to use those spaces. They find the great way to use the spaces we're in. But it's exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
I had a few questions.
Yeah.
One is, was that a double entry at the board office? So there's a safety entry there?
Yes, yes, that will be, so there'll be a entrance and then you have to be buzzed in to get to the reception.
Like the rest of our
Yes,
buildings?
yeah.
Okay. And then, this didn't click, but you said community room, kind of like this, and I know this is requested and used a lot.
Yeah.
For various things, early evening meetings or whatever it might be. The rest of the offices are secured spaces, so if someone's using it for a community purpose.
This has a separate entrance to it
Oh,
from the outside, kind of like that would be, but it's on a fire exit, so
yeah,
you do have the option of probably locking that down and just having that room.
just having that room accessible if it's a
Yep,
school
and a
community
bathroom that's
thing.
outside of it.
Nice,
Yep.
okay. I
Yeah.
we called this the community room, and I
Right.
was like,
Yep.
now we have 2 community rooms,
Yep.
kind of.
Does SHP is there a recommendation, since it's gonna be a shift, like how would a new family know? Like,
So in my
Directions.
superintendent's report, I've got a process that we're working through on that.
okay,
And I'll kind of share that. We're doing a self-audit of all of our functions, and whether that be, moving files to how are we communicating that to when do we actually move registration to there? So there's a lot we're working through right now internally with central office staff, with our, administrative support there at central office, with building secretaries will be involved, because there's a lot of communication pieces that I think we're going to have to talk about before spring.
We probably have to have, I don't know. And now, we don't need too much
Yeah.
signage on this street
Right.
because it's like, wow, here we are. But
Mhm.
now we need some like, oh, back
Signage
there,
is a part of
know?
that.
Yeah.
Signage will be a part of it.
Well, and it'll have, I was just thinking like, it'll have a separate address when you put it in GPS, right? Right now it's on the corner of that building. So if you're brand new to the area and have no clue.
Actually, we've
you
already
could
had some
kind of-
mail going down there.
Oh, really?
Oh.
So,
You could
yeah.
kind of get lost a little bit on our campus trying to find
Yeah.
that. I mean, I actually had to stop by for a meeting and the FedEx guy asked me where
Yes.
health source was. Like they couldn't find health source. They were at the board office and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
not from, you
It's a
might not
wayfinding
know. So
piece.
that would have its
Yep.
own independent
If I
address.
do
which is
interviews of
nice.
people that are not from Goshen, I have to tell them at the end of Mark Cook, the right closest to the middle school, like I have to go into
Yep.
detail because they'll
Right.
wander around lost. They can't
Yeah.
find it. Right.
But that will have a separate address.
Yes.
Yep. Good. That's good questions, and I'll share just a little bit of that piece of what we're looking at. I mean, it's extensive.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other places.
And there will be things
schools
that we
have
don't
done
think
it
about.
and
Yep, yep. And they do help with some of that structurally, what do
Okay.
you, organizationally. Yep.
All right, anything else?
that looks exciting.
Moving on to item 8, new business A, public participation. Mrs. Scherzinger, do we have anyone signed up for public participation?
I'm signed up.
I didn't get to see it.
Okay.
Got it already.
So as you're signing in, I'll read the little blurb that I read for public participation. Each person addressing the board will give his or her name. If several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 3 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is being used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Seems as though there's one, so the period of public participation may be extended by a vote of the board if necessary.
My son is gonna speak some on this. Do I need to put his name down?
No, you're all right with yours.
Yeah, you guys can come up together.
Aaron,
So I don't know if you heard, so I'll just say briefly, you'll say your first and last name, address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak.
my name's Shad Dickton. Address is 2308 State Route 28. This is my son, Aaron Dickton. He is a sophomore in this high school. We had a situation that I don't think was properly handled during the whole issue last month with what was on the news and everything. My son was talking to, what was her name?
Mrs. Edwards.
Mrs. Edwards, about the situation that was going on. And then a
tutor for history here in the high school made a comment that was not very appropriate.
Tell him what he said.
He said, no disrespect to Charlie, but he wasn't important enough to get a magical bullet.
I don't see that myself as a political statement. I see that more so as making a mockery of somebody's death. I did call and talk to the principal. She says she was having a meeting the following day of the situation with the vice superintendent. I didn't hear anything back for a couple of days. My son said that he was still here. I then tried to actually contact Mr. Bailey to set up a meeting with him. It was transferred to the vice superintendent. She told me that she felt that a situation was handled properly by the principal and that, she would contact the principal and have her contact me, let me know what was actually done. Haven't heard a word from either one of them. She also said she'd call me back, let me know, if I want to go any further with the situation. Which in my personal opinion, to have a person say that to student, that's really not a good look for anybody trying to teach a child. I mean, the last thing you want to do is make a mockery of somebody's death. Vice versa, if a student were to do that, say, to a history figure, they'd get in trouble for it. We all know that, you know, some of us did do it, but not to an extent like the way the teacher did it. You know, I strongly believe that individual should not be here anymore. And yeah, I've tried waiting for the phone call. I've tried calling, leaving a message. I haven't heard nothing back, so this is my next resort, was to come here, talk to you guys.
Thank you. We'll have someone follow up, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is that the only name on there? Yes. Yeah, okay. Moving on to new business. B, treasurer's report. Mr. Schenkel.
So there's a lot going on in the financial world in the state of Ohio. So I'm going to share that here in a second. Our financial data this is what we're talking about, our report card score. There's also on the report card some financial data, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you real quick, so you kind of get an idea with how we look for a school our size versus the state. We go to the next one. So the financial data, you can just go online and you'll see that our this little area here is what percent of our funds are spent in the classroom. We're at 66%. So I feel like almost 70% of our money goes directly into classroom instruction. This part here is our spending. Right now, Goshen's share of local property tax revenue is already 13% lower than the state average. So in this little part right here, if you took our 5-year forecast and you took our real estate taxes, our public utility taxes, and our income taxes, that's our number. All that together is our local dollars. So out of that, our average is 31% comes from our local taxpayers. And we know everyone got hit with the last reval, we're at the 20 mil floor, and that's what our people paid altogether. The thing that's interesting, the state average is 44%. So we are actually 13% under the state average on our taxes. So statewide, if you took that number, that's how much lower we are, is at 13% compared to the whole state. And then the interesting part here is where we make up the difference is our state share is 52%, and you can see that it's 39. So we actually get higher state share of 13% from the state, even though right now that's kind of where the shuffle is starting to be. It's like we're collecting more local, and now the state's starting to drop our number. Another couple of things here is our federal grants. We spend on average about 7% versus the state average at 9%, and then other income is 9% versus 7.5%. I like to think that we've been blessed with on the other income. It's like our interest revenue has been a pretty good number these last couple of years. Sorry about that.
No, I meant to have mine. I think they were all looking good.
Yeah.
So just reminder, this is on the state report card. This is measured as we had all those academic measures that we talked about at high school. This is the financial section.
So on this, one thing that super proud of really is our operating spending per pupil. Our district average is about 11,000 almost. The state average is 12,700. If we went out and spent that state average, that would make spend another over $4 million, because about roughly 1,200 kids and 2,700 kids in our district, that's what that number is. So, we've done a great job of keeping that number down. The thing that's nice about that is, if you read this, we're already in the lowest 20% of Ohio school district. That's one of the little things that they mark on the report card score. We have a check mark there. It's the first time we've got that, but that just shows how much we've been working, keeping our expenses down and getting great results on the report card. So super proud of that. we don't get a 4 or 5 stars or anything like that. Basically, the 20% deal is what you get on the finance side. I think that's, does anyone have questions on that? I know that's a lot of data there, but it's, to me, we was really excited just to see that, on the financial end of it.
Did you say that's the first time we've gotten it? Or it's the first
That
time
we've,
they've
that
put
we've
it on
hit in
there?
the 20% below or among the lowest of operating expenses.
In the state?
Yeah. That's good. We was excited on that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Bailey.
Are we moving on?
Sorry. I don't know if you- Yeah, that's pretty much done, unless you guys had a question. I know Mr. Bailey went and there's tons going on in legislatures, and he had a BASA meeting and come back with a lot of stuff that
Well,
just turn it over to him on this one.
I think as a board, and as a community, I think this conversation will start to evolve some. I mean, Todd goes through, we're performing incredibly well for the dollar amount spent per pupil. Our teachers work extremely hard to get those results. We are financially responsible, but there is, a conversation about Ohio school funding going on. I talked to you guys about the biennial budget, and I'll kind of cover that here in a minute. But kind of what I hope to do tonight is just kind of 50,000 foot view of state funding, revenue, and local revenue. As Todd showed there, we're 13% below the average school district, what they're collecting locally, even with income tax. But our residents still had increased property taxes, increased valuations. So I really want to talk to you guys about, where the state's at with that, where legislation's at, and what we're trying to do to plan for that, but also educate our local residents on where the state's at with it and what we need to stay 4.5 stars or go to 5 stars. With that tipping scale, you kind of see that. Todd just kind of said it. So that's the picture that I always go back to is updates on income and property values to current levels. But on the lower side, the state is freezing education costs, so they're not accounting for inflation at all. And that's really that state side, what they're giving us, the locals are paying more, the state's giving us less.
They froze
Just
it at
that conversation. So their 2022 inputs is what was inside of the funding formula. So with that said, this goes back and I'm just going to hold this because I'm at state. This was the biennial budget. So as the state of Ohio approved the 2-year budget, if you remember, that plan did not keep up with inflation. So we were projecting, and Todd does a lot of projections based on the forecast that we get, we were projecting more state revenue. If you remember, this was back in July when they passed the biennial budget. We were 1.4 million. We were there. These are all the schools in Claremont County. Goshen was the only school district that lost funds, projected funds from the state level. A lot of reasons that we had talked about, but I think, Goshen growing, having a higher valuation, being able to provide more, the state's going to give you less. So that's kind of where our mindset with that was. We talked through that as a school district. We look at the 5-year forecast and we have to make educational decisions with you guys at Board of Education and with our administrators. So right now, we had already set the year in July. We had already had our plan. So what this was projecting out, we had to start looking at as we start planning for next year and forward. So again, July had us kind of set. We were set for the year. We planned on it. We didn't plan on losing, 600,000 this year and about 900,000 next year. Just in Claremont County, others didn't see that loss, but there's only one or two other options in the state of Ohio that you have is to put an operating levy on or make cuts to programs. I think we all understand with where we're at as a district, our only choice in the future, if this were to continue, was to look at programs and make educational decisions. Because going on the ballot for operating dollars is not an option. We live within the means, and we've done that very well since 1989.
Yeah.
So Just with that being said, I want to understand property taxes in Ohio a little bit, the facts, the myths, and the solutions, and still kind of that tipping point of, we have increased valuations. You see a decrease in state funds. That only means that it can come from local funds. I hear this all the time, and I'm not just saying it because we have balanced a budget. We're providing, as you guys saw, an incredible education. And anytime school districts start to talk about needing money, it becomes schools are mismanaging the money they have. That is the myth. And I understand that as a taxpayer, just do with what you got. But from that side of it, I think we have to understand that the state is giving us less, not keeping up with inflation. But yet, as school districts in the state of Ohio, there used to be 1,000 school districts in the state. The state schools have consolidated already. Consolidated as far as we can. We share services, we share resources, we've reduced cost. I start thinking about what we've done here to make sure that we're using dollars wisely so they stay going into the classroom. We've had energy plans, we've had capital plans, we've negotiated agreements, we've written grants, we've done insurance changes. You name it, we are living within the dollar that we have. We're not mismanaging funds. I would venture to say that Claremont County, knowing a lot of the treasurers and superintendents, nobody mismanaging money. You've got the money you've got, and you've got to make it last as long as you can make it last. I would say that the data I'm going to show you shows that Ohio schools aren't the problem, but it's the disinvestment from the state of Ohio that's the problem. So facts, and this is on the one pager that you guys have here, and I don't want to bore you with it, but to kind of go through and talk about data, Ohio back in, let's say 1990, was 35th in the nation in the amount of public funds, state funds they gave public schools. We are now 45th. So when you look at all the states in the United States, Ohio is 45th in the nation in the state funding that comes to public schools. Back in 1991, homeowners and farmers paid 47% of the property taxes. As we stand today, it's around 70%. So it's no wonder, and this just isn't for schools. This is police, fire, libraries, parks, roads. It's no wonder that we have people upset about property taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, to come back to, if we're just talking about education and we're not talking about libraries, parks, fire, police, it's because we're 45th in the amount coming from the state. It's all been pushed to the farmer and to the homeowner. With Goshen in particular, we have not been on the ballot for an operating levy since the 1% passed in 1990. So ours is a little bit obviously lower than that. We showed 37% coming from local level. But still, the cost of education around the state is about 70%. Why is that? There's been a lot of policy change at the state level, and I think it's to grow Ohio, to bring business in. But they eliminated the business tangible personal property tax in 2005, which schools used to get. And that was a big loss to a lot of school districts, not to us in particular. We did not have a bunch of business inside of the district, but a lot of districts did. The state used to cover 12.5% of your property tax bill. And I will say this, and I said used to, Goshen residents still receive 12.5% rolled back from the 1976 operating levy. That was the last operating levy passed in Goshen. So residents are still seeing the state pay 12.5% of that cost of that operating levy back in that time. However, anybody that's put a new issue on, school districts that have put an operating levy on since 2013, those residents are bearing the full cost. They don't get 12.5% paid. So when you see a district have to put on an operating, and that's not us, but when you see districts have to put on operating and the residents pay the full 100% of that now, it is a higher rate. And that's a state decision. That's not a district decision. And I'm just, again, this is not just Goshen. This is property tax, big picture.
Can I add real quick, Mr. Bailey? Yeah. On that part there, the 12.5%, that's taking your valuation, like say 100,000 times 35% times our millage. And then after that, then it's 10% and 2.5% rollback on that. So like if you look at your tax bill, you'll see RB and on that. I mean, it's the 12% of the tax, not the overall value. I just want to make sure of that.
Yeah.
So with the third piece, under the current model, as we've talked, as values increase, the state gives us less. So that's when I say it's a higher bill for families in Goshen and around, as property taxes can pay for more, the state's gonna give us less.
Yeah.
So, however, and I say this, this program tonight's the perfect example. We're asked to do more, and I love it. Our teachers love it. We do an incredible job of doing more and doing the right thing for kids. But when you talk about the costs just keep going up, and we're doing everything we can, write grants, do an energy conservation plan,
Having kids
use
to work.
kids to fix the IT. We're doing everything we can to keep costs down, but the state's not keeping up with inflation. That goes back to that fair school funding at the start. We're on 2022 numbers, not 2025 numbers, when inflation's been big and the state's not using that inflation piece. But we continue to try to do what we can to meet the kids where they're at and give them the education we can. But there's got to be at some point the impact of inflation from the state level to support that. Otherwise, if you're not hitting that, you're on the ballot to operate. We're okay right now. I'm not saying that's us. But as you look at other districts holistically, when those dollars that they passed don't keep up with inflation, of course they run out and you're back to the levy cycle for operating. It's not us. We've been in a good spot with the 1%. And again, as we have downturns in the economy and people lose their jobs, they're not paying the 1%. We have to budget for that. So question on that piece of it?
Well, what are the recommendations from Vassar, whoever, on like what our community, the taxpayers, what we can do as a board?
I think that,
It's coming.
yeah, I think a little bit. I think it's educate, but I just think.
I mean, educate our.
Well, I think this is what we can do. Talk to your legislators, and I'll talk about what I've done with Gene Schmidt, Adam Byrd, and Terry Johnson to this point, our House reps and Senate reps. But share the facts with neighbors. I think a lot of times this gets out, and again, I'm not just saying it because I'm the superintendent of schools. It's not a mismanagement of funds. It is inflation. Schools are not, we're not immune to inflation cost, whether it's electric, gas, insurance, benefits.
Busing.
We try busing. We try to do all the pieces we can to live within that. We do a very good job. I'm not here saying Goshen needs an operating levy. Don't quote me coming out of this. That is not it. That is the furthest thing from what I'm saying, but I think it's understanding. I have this here someplace and I'll get there. I'm passionate about this because honestly, when you see what could have happened to Goshen kids here and to our education in a second, it was scary here over the last couple of weeks. I will say this, it is a shared challenge. To go to your point, it is a shared challenge. Families are struggling to pay bills. Schools are stretching to maintain teachers and programs and safe facilities, and the state has to be a part. We can't just sit here and debate locally, and I don't have a room full of people, but if we were to go and say we're making cuts for some reason, we'd have a room full of people, and then we'd be debating you wasted your money. I think we really need to be looking at the state of Ohio piece. Our legislators do an incredible job up there. They get beat up for same sometimes as we do for decisions, but they've made investments or a disinvestment in tax policy decisions that aren't helping right now. And there are other ways to do this besides looking at property tax relief. So I say that. Why is this thing not all of a sudden clicking? And Mark left. No, Mark's here.
Mark's here.
Oh, here you go. I just had to say Mark's name. So when I say that, this was what was projected out of, and they're looking at it legislatively, at property tax reform. But I think what's happening right now is it's not reform for all. It's not reform for all of Ohio, and this is part of what I sat down and talked with our state reps about. If you look at Goshen, we were slotted to, over making changes throughout this formula, the way it currently stood, if it was gonna go to vote back a week ago, was we were to lose 1.8 million this year, like in January, and then about another million over the next 2 years. So go back to, we got 1.4 less than projected. We've got this out there, and this, I don't know, this didn't go to a vote. There were some changes made to some emergency levy stuff and some different pieces of property tax reform. But this, looking at it, and I've given you the one pager that I sat down and talked to Gene and Adam about. It's the other one, the impacts to Goshen local schools. Todd's going to share a 5-year forecast with this in it in a few minutes, and I think you'll see, again, we can't, if they were to say 1.8 million gone right now, we've already contracted for it. We can't change that right now. But I don't think that this is going to go in this form. It will be in some form. There will be House Bill 186 go
But I
through.
mean, if they put this through right now, we're 1.8 mil, say in the hole for this year, then we would have to consider that knowing next year we're going to be 2.7 plus the 1.8
Well,
we already
it's about
overspent.
it's about 3.5, 4 million over the 3 years. Yeah, so you're gonna have to be making decisions. We are gonna have to be making decisions.
Yeah.
Because again, I'll go back to what I said, we're not going back for an operating. We're eventually gonna need a bond issue. We just have to do more with less or programs. I'm hoping that a lot of the conversations that we're having, that other districts are having, that we look at this and go back to this as a shared problem. This isn't just a local problem. But I put this up here. I said, is this reform for all? This is Claremont County, and I didn't highlight, but these should all be red, except for Milford and New Richmond. As you go down to Hamilton County, they're losing no money. Why? We're at the 20 mil floor. We're operating the lowest millage that we can by state law, as well as many other Claremont County schools. We don't pass a levy every 5 years to fund schools.
What's happening
So-
in Hamilton County?
Well, they're passing levies. They've passed operating in most of those school districts to keep up with them. So their millage will be paid down as property taxes go up. Whole different thing, but that's where I say, is this reform for all? I think I mentioned, Gene, my parents live in one of these districts. Dad's a retired or a disabled Vietnam vet, and there's no tax break coming there. So I don't know that this is the answer if we're reforming for all.
Well, I mean, we don't
We're
want
gonna
it
property
to all
tax.
fall on our community. The problem is, going from 47% in 91 to 70% today. I mean, where's that 23% going?
Well, in this piece, it would be a reduction in property tax. But when you go back to Goshen's paying 37%, we're not higher than a lot of these. So
I mean, where's our?
that's why I say.
But
No,
historically,
I'm saying,
doing
where's
this-
our state spending it? If It's
Historically.
not going to the school.
Oh, that I can only speculate.
Well, like you
when I-
said, tax breaks for, businesses,
Businesses,
try to bring more
to bring
business
them in.
into Ohio.
And we do want that. We do want businesses in. but
Correct, but not,
I think,
not
yes.
to
Not the expensive.
doom our,
Right.
at the expense of our schools.
And I don't want this to
Township.
be,
And township.
I don't want this message to come off as the state's messing up. This is this should be a shared
We
between.
gave
those
$800 million to
legislatures.
Brown, so I think.
But, there is this, I just want it to be clear that, as Todd goes through the 5-year forecast in a few, we're not misappropriating. But if you keep taking revenue away, there's only one way to get revenue, and that's put something on a ballot.
Yeah.
Or cut to where you're spending at the revenue that you got. And Mark?
There's some big double-digit negatives for all of, the majority of Claremont County.
All right, so what's at stake, and I'm just gonna quickly, I just talked about this. We met with legislators, you've got the one pager.
Yeah.
Property taxes are a real burden on families, reform is needed, but it's gotta be studied and balanced. Like, I just don't think we can rush in and say, let's make this change, because you don't know the long-term impacts of it. Families and communities require schools, safety and services. I will say the stake for us, this is gonna be a struggle for us to to plan long-term. If we don't know revenues and what to expect, and it just changes year after year, it's hard for us to plan long-term. For programs we need, for extra teachers we need, so, you know, that makes it difficult. And then without some type of reform, families pay more, or we're at risk of losing services. And that's just not school services, that's fire, police, roads, senior services, community services that are at stake. So as we look at any type of property tax reform, that's all those things are paid for in the state, property tax. So as you reform that or take it away, you have to do less unless you can find another way to do revenue. So is that, it's, you know, school finances, it probably took me 2 semesters as a superintendent in college to get through School Finance 101 to explain that quickly. I think the answer is, you know, we have to look at this from a local level, and I think the state has to look at it from a state level more than anything. If we're 45th in the nation, the amount of dollars going to public ed, that's where I'd start. Why are we 45th? Is that acceptable? Not acceptable to me. Is that acceptable to residents that we're providing educational dollars elsewhere? I don't know. So, and I think we can all agree it doesn't need to be on the backs of, especially elderly folks that maybe disabled, have income barriers. You know, property taxes are here, but I think there's reform that can be done. But I think we have to work together to do it with legislature and state and locals. But go back to your question, I think it's just that there's got to be a balanced approach, and it's not just a local issue.
Are there any questions for Todd? Is that the end?
So Todd's going to go through what that 5-year forecast would look like and where we're at spending wise this year.
So I do have
Yes.
a question. This doesn't need to be answered tonight. But I think one thing that we will hear as we start to talk about this with the community is as more residents are coming in and we're receiving that 1% income tax from them as they come in, how does that affect our funding from the state?
Yep.
And how do we use that to balance our budget?
So it's funny, Todd and I just sat before I left the office today. I said, okay, we're down $1 million.
Yes,
Let's just quickly, we're down $1 million based on this. What's it take to make that up? Well, we just said, okay, they're building 200 houses and household income's at 200,000. You quickly do the math. What we do that? It's $200,000 for 200 houses with a family income of 200,000. Make sense? 200 houses is not making up $1 million cut from the state level in income.
Yes.
Just 200 houses. So not to talk about the costs that come in those 200 houses with teachers, buses.
Right, yeah.
Just the income alone.
Yeah.
So we need 1,000 new homes to make up 1 million.
Pretty much. Well, I mean,
Then there would be
just
additional
a
costs.
base income.
We would still get real estate tax on there. I mean, there's a lot.
Yes.
I mean, and you know, we're at the 20 mil floor. They talked about moving inside millage. I mean, honestly, you know, all those simulations that they run. I mean, I didn't do them. The state put stuff in, and they just keep throwing stuff out there about redoing it, and it just throws everyone's numbers, and really, it all shifts. I mean, like valuation per pupil at one district versus another. I mean, so every time they put something in, there's more there happening to all the districts in the state. So it's really, I mean, I can tell you, I mean, being here 25 years, I've never seen so much thrown at something like this. And people we're all really still trying to learn what's the impact, because it's not clear cut at all. So
I think the scary thing is too, when people are doing stuff that quickly and you can't keep up, you know, in the end, it can be detrimental.
I can give the honest story on, we were playing Batavia. Keith Millard was down in the end zone, superintendent of Batavia. He goes, "You see those numbers that came out from Bass today on House Bill 186? I was like, no. I mean, we're all focused on educating kids right now. Talk about all the report card pieces and everything we're trying to do, and then we've got legislative changes that are happening
By the hour.
by the hour, and it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, let's hear this, Todd.
Yes.
All right. Well, I know you guys got the 5-year in your packet. And this is just kind of the summary that we have. So like finishing up last year, fiscal year 2005, I think you guys remember the 16,000,007. That's where we finished our year, which is, then again, that's where we started. It just kind of rolls through there. On our funding, right now, the numbers, they're not really talking about doing a huge reduction this year. So we're kind of staying status quo on our unrestricted, and then our restricted, that's like the student wellness dollars, that sort of thing. There's a slight drop there, but as you can see coming across, dropped at $1 million and continued that on. And again, like the future years, there's not been a ton of talk on how that's going to continue on out, you know, because they do the biennial budget. So we're doing 26, 27 and the impact here. And then also with the changes, it's only a 4-year projection. So this will all be changing. But anyway, I kept that number going across just to give you guys an idea. Our revenue went from 39 to 38 to 39, 39. That all looks pretty good, but the costs are going up 10%. I mean, like, we know that if our revenue stays stagnant and our costs continue to go up, we're in trouble. I mean, we're going to be dipping into our cash, which basic on here, since we're on the excess, you can see the negative numbers there. We started the year off with 16. At the end of 5 years, if we stayed status quo, we would almost cut our general fund dollars in half, down to about 8 million. Now, it's a blessing that we have money in the bank, that we can, you know, make these decisions, and there's a lot that goes into it. But those are the numbers that we put in. A lot of people, I mean, like treasurer, we're all talking to each other, like, what do you got to do with this? What do you think we ought to be doing? So going through on those numbers, dropping ours down by like $1 million, I think that's ballpark where we're going to be at. I mean, I guess it'd be an educated guess. Maybe that's a way of putting it. And but I think the thing that I hope that we do is we just kind of, you know, we keep working legislation and tell them this impact. Like, you're going to cut our general fund in half over this 5-year cycle. So that would be, you know, tough. Now, again, like you guys just said, we're going to have people moving in. That's going to have an impact on cash revenue, but we're going to need more staff. We're going to need more busing, you know, that sort of thing. So that'll be a juggling act that we really need to look at.
What's the reasoning for using 2022 for us?
That's the fair school funding formula. That's the inputs they used. So that
hard is it for them to
Realize that.
Well, it's more money. It was like, I forget what the number was. It was more money from the state to go to 25. So it broke the formula.
Yes. And that's a great point. I mean, in the state's rainy day fund is full. I mean, like, they have money up there that, I mean, they could actually be helping.
And my costs at work when I buy things, I mean, my costs are up well over 20% since 2022 for things, everything I buy.
Since 2022?
Yeah, easily over 20%.
My grocery bills way up.
Yeah, we don't, like, how do we just like skip inflation?
So it's
altogether?
like, because we have managed our money well, right? And we do have roughly, I mean, now it's probably less, but we have almost 6 months to continue operating if they cut us totally off, right? So we're saying in 3 and 4 years, we'd have 12 weeks. That we could continue to, if they totally shut us off, or.
So you're saying operating cash on hand?
Operating cash, or we could pay
Have about 12
interest
weeks.
and continue on.
About 6 months.
So thank goodness we've managed money pretty well, but we can only do that for so long.
Right. And if we need I totally get it. So, I mean, we're on this, if this would be the case, we'd be positive 150,000, which would be phenomenal. This year, correct.
But what our concern is, if this continues, our savings deplete.
Well, I just think you're
quickly.
going to, I mean, yes, and
And
as
then
a
we
board,
can't
we'll have to
maintain.
make a decision that, you know, there's a certain point there where you don't want to get below, and it's,
No, but you
the
have
only
to
way to do
balance
that
your
is you
budget.
got to balance and cut.
Yeah. Okay.
And the
Or
state
the
wants us to
expenditures
go-
are going to outweigh the revenues because we will have more expenditures coming in with kids.
And they want us to go to a 3-year forecast now, correct? That's a bill.
3 years prior, and then, I think it's 4. But yeah, Yeah,
ends up
they're
being formed if they
changing,
change
they're changing that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say that, I mean, I don't wanna like, there's still income tax and real estate taxes. I mean, I just highlighted these areas. We'll still be getting money from them, but that's one reason that these go down overall, if that makes sense. I mean, these numbers here are total impact. That includes everything that we got.
Yeah.
It's off of our forecast.
So when will we know?
They got
They have
until
until
next December.
December 2026 to override Vito's property tax.
It's the craziest. I mean, they've got over a year and a half. And so like really right now, we've contracted for our fiscal year here. So July, August, September, we've already signed contracts. We're getting busing, we're buying our food, we're buying
So we
copiers.
could be into 2026 before we even know.
Yeah.
425, like, will they go back into?
That was a lot of the conversation we had was you can't make this retro because we've already budgeted for it. And, unless you want us to cut off services.
Have they done
later.
that before historically?
No, it's never been done. I mean, I talked to the Claremont County Auditor's Office, and really what they talked about doing is giving people credits on their tax bill, which then we would get because we've already got the money. Some districts who have no cash, they already got the tax dollars and spent it. I mean, it's gone. So, I mean, like to them to say, pay it back, I mean, they
wouldn't have it to pay
That's
that.
unconstitutional.
The state would have to pay that. Yeah.
Correct. It's very complex.
Yeah. School funding itself is not constitutional. How many years have they found any stuff about that?
Yeah.
I mean, as you go back to this, and I know Todd's gonna, I mean, you've got to go through this year, don't you?
I do, but I can we don't have to. I think they've seen it. So anyway, I guess I'll just real quick on this. This is where we're at for this year. This is our 16 million that we started. Year-to-date revenue's 13, our fiscal year expenditures. I mean, we're up 2.6 million. I mean, like, if things don't change, like, we're looking pretty good, which we've known that for a couple of years. Go to the next one. So our revenue through September, our revenue is up 1.3 compared to last year. So we got an 11% increase. A lot of that is due because we get our settlements on real estate taxes and income taxes during this time. So that's where a lot of the money are. You can see that on our local and state share that our total revenue is up 1.3. Our expenditures are up 1.6. I mean, most of that is due to all the projects that we did. You know, we did a lot of things there, and you can see our salaries and purchase services. That falls under the other, and that's the total there for the 1.6, 18%. I think the one thing that I mean, Mr. Bailey and I talked on this a little bit, and transparency. We want to continue to be clear where our money comes from and how it's spent. I mean, we want our taxpayers to know. I'm a taxpayer. We all are taxpayers here in Goshen, so we want to make sure. Property taxes, we feel are high because they are high. This is not a school district decision. I mean, the fact that we're at the 20 mil floor, we went up 40% in valuation times our 20 mils. We didn't do that. I mean, that's how that worked out. And then, so now then what's happening is our locals paying it and the state's reducing that down. We support reform that relieves families while ensuing strong schools and safe communities. The Goshen local schools are allies of our taxpayers. State level tax policy shifts have left our Goshen homeowners and farmers carrying too much of the load. We know everyone's getting taxed to death out there, and we hate that. We do know that in the end, every child in Goshen local schools deserves the same opportunities we had growing up. Excellent teachers, safe schools, and educational programs that prepare them for success. They're not luxuries, they're investment in our community. I just think tonight was such a testament of it. Those kids have a game changer that I can tell you a lot of districts don't have, but we've got that. And the fact how it's funded and how those guys do that, and you know, that Mr. Walt went and got all the certifications to be, quote, UC teacher is amazing. So that's great stuff.
But those are the kind of things that we would have to make decisions on, right?
We will, and I think as your question, when will we know? I think we're going to continue to monitor this. We'll continue to work with our local legislators and having conversations. We've got a legislative breakfast at the county on October 24th with our local reps and continue to have conversations with them. And then as things come up, there may be a time where we need to do some town halls to educate our community. I think as we go through our master planning process, there was going to be some of that naturally where we need to talk about the funding pieces and where it's at. But it may expedite some of that conversation. But I think, you know, you look at that it's not close the doors, but there are conversations that we have to maintain financial stability here and make sure we're doing the right thing with taxpayer dollars so that it's not, because things triple quick. And if you spend it over 1 year, you're really spending it over for 5 years on that forecast. So we really have to be watching it and monitoring it. And we have to, as we do every year, monitor the economy and where it's at, and do what's best for Goshen kids in the end. So we'll continue to update you guys. I felt, tonight, just looking at this sheet that I gave you, really that balance piece and where it's at are some of those talking points. It's not made up. These are true numbers. So, and, as Mr. Schenkel presents every month, we try to be transparent with where we're at with the programs we have and go back to, local shares 31%. As that state share continues to dip, the only choice we have is local goes up. And that's how they do the fair school funding.
Since this is all facts, can we include a PDF on your Friday update, or is that
Talked about
not
it.
appropriate?
I think it'll come a little bit at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When we're ready to
Just let people know.
Yeah, just like things that are on your mind, and then, hey,
Yeah.
if you want to get informed, I think.
And I think especially with our conversation, staying in our local legislators' ear, that's good. I mean, that's great because they only know what the information they've been
Yes.
presenting. And I know they have staff that's supposed to know these things or whatever, but maybe some of their staff that they have is that maybe they don't do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, staying in touch with legislators plus OSBA. I mean, we talked about last week at our regional meeting.
Yeah.
That's to fight for public education. Yeah, I think that's
This one's staggering, though. We're like the fifth.
So percentage wise, we would have been the
Percentage?
fifth
I mean,
biggest.
these are like
yeah.
little tiny island schools,
Yeah.
right? Like Middle Bassa.
Yeah.
Kelly's Island. I mean, how many students do they have on Kelly's Island? 15?
I think 4. I think I heard
Seriously?
7.
Oh my gosh.
But yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're important, but gosh, if we, so seriously, like that's.
Well, and I
pretty-
think that's where, as I said earlier, there's a passion for it because Goshen kids were going to lose on this.
And it may not be time yet, but I know we did one podcast and it was really good.
Yeah.
What about, could the GNN interview you? Or is that, I know
think if we get to that point where yes, I do think that's a
Again,
good
let's
idea.
put our kids to work some more. They're doing great, so. Okay. Yeah.
Do I have any additional questions for Todd? And is that a wrap up?
That's it, yeah. That's sort of a wrap. I would do want to say that, Brian, I got to sit in with Mrs. Schmidt and, she listened and even gave her a Goshen G that she actually wore on the next day and voted. But she did.
Yeah.
But she was really, I think the thing that was great is she was unaware of a lot of things until Brian clarified exactly what was what. And then, so it was just, I guess what I'm saying is it was a good meeting to have that and that she did listen and.
Keeping people informed, I think that's the key.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Moving on to agenda item 8, new business C, items 1 through 8. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Lisa, a second by Melissa. Discussion?
Just quickly on 7 and 8, that
Yeah.
resolution, just declaring transportation impractical. Again, cost saving side routes don't go there, so we pay the family there to transport elsewhere. And then I think you heard that we lost a member of our tech staff. This was a replacement for the rest of the year with a local LLC individual. It's been great so far, so yes, been a good mid-year. So that is an agreement for an LLC the rest of the year.
Any further discussion, questions? Mr. Schenkel, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Werking,
Yes.
Mrs. Pepperrock,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera. Yes. Mrs. Gray.
Yes. Moving on to new business D, personnel 1 through 8. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bill, second by Lisa. Any discussion? Personnel?
Always trying to find substitute teachers. So you see, we have one there and then we have a maintenance substitute, a few different substitute aides.
What about the school psychologist intern?
So at Mark we have it's basically like a student teacher. for school
Okay, so I was like,
psychologist.
wow, it sounded
So
great.
he's- Yeah, so he's gonna be shadowing at Mark Hook with our school psychologist there.
Okay.
You do
Anything
have
on school psychology, I read that and I was like, oh, that sounds great. So,
Yeah.
additional resources.
Do have a new high school custodian there with some transfer movement from Kevin's open
Oh,
position.
yeah.
Kind of working through that right now, but it's good.
Any further discussion? Mr. Schinkel, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera? Yes. Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Markey?
Yes.
Moving on to new business E, athletic personnel, 1 through 5. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Lisa made the motion, Bill second. Any discussion
It's a good start.
Coaches.
with the
Yeah.
coaches? Yep. Anything else? Mr. Schinkel, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Markey?
Yes.
Mrs. Paprocki?
Yes.
I will say, if you look down through that list, those are all teachers. A lot of those are
Yeah.
teachers. We're fortunate to have teachers that coach for our kids,
Yeah.
teach all day, and then work with our kids after school. I can't thank our staff enough for that. And community members that volunteer in a lot of these positions too.
Moving on, do we have a motion to approve new business G miscellaneous, which includes donations from Rec Outlet, PTO, GAB, and Upscale Auto, and the Business Advisory Council Plan?
So moved.
Melissa made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Just a second. Any discussion? Just continue to thank all the partners that we have, incredible support around the community. Mr. Schinkel, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Markey?
Yes.
Mrs. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Can we forward this line?
Sorry.
New business G, Board of Education reports. Melissa?
Well, there was a student achievement. I got this article that said that there's 80% of employers don't feel that our students have, not our students, students in the state of Ohio and across the country don't have the soft skills and the skills that are needed for employment. And I listened to this. So apparently not at Goshen. So I was just like, oh my gosh, this was incredible. So yeah, it was like everything that they were saying and were the opportunities, we just dispelled all of that. So, but I think that resume writing definitely is a great fit. But what they were saying, they were learning the soft skills was right on. And then it also said that the College Board, in relation to this, is expanding some AP offerings, and they're going to be for the 26 school year, business, personal finance, and cybersecurity. So that would go in line with our new class that we are offering. So, and then at the middle school, just a couple of upcoming things. There's a choir concert on the 15th, and then the band concert in conjunction with the marching band concert at the stadium on the 28th. That's it.
Sorry, making some notes. Moving on to Bill.
We had at Great Oaks this past week, we had the ribbon cutting at the expansion of the Laurel Oaks campus. We had, with state money, I think it's $6 that Laurel Oaks got from Governor DeWine's a few years back. It was $200,000 30-something million for career tech campuses in Ohio. So that money, we doubled the size of our welding program. So we had 25 weld booths. Now we have 50. We built a new building we moved construction tech program out to that building because they were next to the weld program before. So that way we kept all our weld program together. Construction tech was moved outside or out in this separate building. And one reason separate buildings is it's now our new EV program, EV repair and manufacturing program. So Honda has a new battery plant they're opened up there, or they're opening up in north of the outlet malls, Jeffersonville or something like that. But anyways, it's a gigantic place. So they're partnering with Little Oaks up there or helping with that program. But it's going to be EVs, electric vehicles, and also things like electric high-lows, bicycles. You can see a lot of electric lawnmowers and all that kind of stuff. They had some of those Ego zero-turn battery motors there, so the kids will be learn how to repair all those kind of things too. Because at first you think, okay, it's going to be EV, right? But I mean, this goes further. And I believe they're even going to, I think they're going to talk about the, like charging, EV charging station too, like maybe touch on that a bit about as far as installing chargers. That's a big, there's a lot of companies need, people to install those things. Yeah, so that was great. Also, we have a law enforcement program up there that's new, and that's it. Then the following night, it was back up at Laurel Oaks, and some of you are with me. It's for the Southwest Ohio Regional business meeting. We were awarded the Purple, Spalding Elementary awarded the Purple Star Award. And I have to forward you that picture that was taken up here. So that was great recognition for us. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. Lisa? So for legislative, as you guys heard, there's a lot going on up there in Columbus. Things are changing rapidly. I'm going to forward the 2 emails that I've received since our last meeting regarding new bills that have been introduced, because there's a whole slew of them. I mean, they came back into session and they were well rested from their break. So they're making bills left and right, introducing those. So I'll forward those to you because otherwise we'll be here till midnight. For the Business Advisory Committee, we had our first meeting of the school year last Wednesday, and we focused on the myth that people don't want to work was the theme of the meeting, and how it's a myth. And one of the things that came out of it was actually the soft skills that you just mentioned before with student achievement, and how we had the demonstration tonight. And we also went outside to see a lot of our students outside doing construction, pulling wires and stuff like that, and all of those skills that they're learning hands-on experience with volunteers from construction industry around us, and that was really great. So that was a really good meeting. Just a couple things that are coming up is the Ohio Education Policy Institute has a meeting on the 27th from 2 to 4 that I've signed up to attend. I know we have a policy committee meeting this Friday that I can't attend because I'll be out of town. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to align with what we're discussing this Friday. But and then I've signed up to do the delegate training for our Capitol Conference in November. And then the Marcook Carnival is on the 28th of this month. It's right before, it actually overlaps by 30 minutes with the band concert. So we can double dip on that one. And then also the PTO trunk or treat is on the 30th of this month. I'm sure Brian will talk about that. So just put it on your radars, because as you know, we have at least 800 kids that come through with that, and it's always a fun experience. I think Stephanie Rolke has told me that they're already up to 35 trunks. So she's hoping for at least 50 because they had 50 last year. So that's all that I have.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
And then Corey's next. I did reach out to Corey because he's traveling for his job, and he did not have a report for this evening on Goshen Township. Moving on to my report. As always, Public Relations Committee, just a reminder, if you know a veteran who didn't receive their diploma, we do have a date slotted coming up in November, so have them reach out to Mr. Bailey, who can put them in contact with the appropriate individuals. Leading that, I've already shared all the spring event dates. Goshen Education Foundation hosted Boots Burger and Barbecue, which was another extremely successful event. And because of everything that they've done in the last few months, they actually just voted to double the amount of teacher grants that they'll be giving this year. So
That's great.
that's incredible. A lot of GEF board members doing a lot of hard work. So that is and then audit and finance, we plan to meet in January unless something comes up before then.
We can meet whenever you want, though. Talk about a lot of hypothetical numbers.
As soon as those come out, we can meet.
Yeah.
Any questions? Or you just gonna ask?
I was just gonna, I could speak of it the other, but I'm gonna speak of it now. I think it's great that we empower our staff or give them the guidance of direction, whatever, that they go out, like Mr. Wall, just they're not just coming in here every day and just going through the motions.
They're
and just, they're not being micromanaged, being pushed to excel and better themselves and go after these opportunities for the kids. And, so many of them keeping out for those grants and stuff too.
They do.
I mean, that's great.
It doesn't.
I
All
didn't
these
wanna
things
throw
don't
that in.
happen
I just
without,
thought-
yes, all these things that we talk about don't happen without creative ways of doing it, being innovative. GEF, what they're doing for our schools and for teachers, $10,000 in teacher grants this year. I mean, just changes the classroom environment. gives
That's in
teachers
addition
other
to
opportunities.
PTO.
It is, yes.
Right? And PTO.
You still get PTO, yes.
Yeah.
So
Did
a
all
lot
the
of
grants
people
you
it
used
helped.
last year?
Yeah.
I mean, over there. Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know for a while it was like begging the teachers, right? And I
In the
think that-
beginning, but
Oh,
now
yeah.
that they
now
know,
they
they're like,
know. Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
And to read the grants, I mean, it's just,
doing great
Neat.
stuff.
yes.
And that's how we save money inside the school district, right? Because we have
Yep.
different groups supporting as well. Any other questions on the reports for each other? All right, thank you guys for the work you do outside of this. Moving on to new business superintendent's report, Mr. Bailey.
So just a couple informational, we'll have an itinerary to you guys as we kind of look through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday up there. I know you've each got some things with the delegate stuff, but we'll know the hotel and stuff, and that's booked for that. So we'll get an itinerary with all that stuff to you here very soon. Report card update. I know we've talked about this, and I don't think I had to go back and look at past presentations. We haven't done it at a board meeting. It is one measure, but it's one we're extremely proud of. Our teachers work incredibly hard. Our kids work incredibly hard. And then you go and look at the funding piece. And yes, we are competitive, and that top right kind of shows you where we stack up at around the area. There's a lot of really good schools in Clarendon and Southwest Ohio that provide incredible educations, and we're right up there with them. And opportunities provided for kids. This isn't about testing. This measures all the pieces, including the finance piece. So extremely proud of our teachers, our buildings, our graduation rates, our college career readiness rates, literacy pieces. We work incredibly hard and have to do it differently than some. We get the job done. So very proud of our staff and kids for that. As Lisa said, PTO trunk or treat. We will have a trunk or the tailgate of my truck, unless you guys want to get creative and dress it up. That's not my strong suit, but put the tailgate down and there will be candy. So we'll have the tunnel as we always do, is the entry
That works really
to
good.
to the trail. So if you guys want to, we'll get the candy in that for 800 kids, and you guys just show up. We'll start setting up around 5:30 that day. And then I think Melissa talked about it earlier. As you talk about some goals updates and things at, our level, we have begun the conversations about what does this administrative office transition look like. Teresa sent out an email or a survey to all of our central office staff and administrators to talk about what that workflow, what are they worried about? What do they think needs to be worked on? And really the goal of that is to identify challenges and then plan for adjustments. So what do we need to do as we are presented with a challenge with this move? How do we adjust for it and make sure that we communicate it? So, and then lastly, Bill said it, I just should have let you guys give my report. Congratulations to Spalding. They did receive the Purple Star Award the other night at OSBA Southwest Ohio Fall Conference. And again, that designation just signifies what they've implemented, with what challenges military children face, frequent moves, parental deployments, and we've got the services for them, and then also how we celebrate military service here in our community, where other buildings are looking at tackling this one as well. So hopefully we'll continue to build on that, but we are a proud military community, and whether that's active duty or veterans, it's great to see that support out of our buildings. That is all I have. Anything that I didn't cover or questions?
Well, I don't think this applies to our district, but there were, I believe, 3 bike accidents of students like in the news. And I just wondered, do we have any bike riders?
Small amount.
And I don't know. They just seem
Our
seems tragic that they were just hit. I don't know. I don't know what we could do. Is there anything we could do to ensure they're safe? It seems like most of the time it was the drivers that were the problem, not the bike riders. So I don't know. I just don't want it to be on our.
I know that we have talked to any student that has bike to school. Generally, it's at the high school. Had conversations about their routes, and really, there are buses. We're not set up to be a walking or biking district for the most part, but there are a few kids that do work locally after school, and we have had conversations at the high school to make sure they're doing it safely with their parents. But there are sidewalks as far as they can make it from UDF to school. And then get on 28, it scares me too.
Do we anticipate more as the Linton Road?
Fortunately, we did get the crosswalk back on Linton, and we do have sidewalks to navigate through to campus. I don't know. I mean, yes, do I think kids will walk?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Just being mindful of, as we see that. I mean, I'm a Linton Road traveler because it does, cut off the main way. So just, I don't know if we can consider, or they consider some additional light. I mean, we are fortunate enough that our tennis courts are right there, so it does provide some additional light.
At night,
But, I just think about here in the winter, it gets dark at 5 p.m. and it's dark until 8 a.m. about, right? And so as we see that grow, considering foot and bike.
Well, I mean, I will say that we have tried 3 times unsuccessfully to do the Safe Routes to School grant through ODOT. And I know Bob Rhodes and I talked about, are we getting close enough? It's always rooftops. Are we getting close enough to start looking at that again? Because that sidewalk's on 28, that sidewalk's up probably to Linton.
Yeah.
But it's.
We should put the statistics.
We've got to qualify.
In Cincinnati, there are how many? I mean, it's a lot. It seems like it's all the time.
I mean, the thing that makes me most nervous about Linton is people just not being used to there being a subdivision there who travel. And I mean, I live off of Shiloh Road and people fly. I imagine people probably fly down the straightaway of Linton.
If it got to be where there's a lot, if there is
Well, it'd probably be
Can't bike to school. Can't-
Yeah, or in like, who, I can know, years ago, like.
We would have to probably say.
Yeah, who does it, who supplies a crossing guard? Is that like a volunteer or is it a
In
real?
Milford, there's a group of parents who do a crosswalk,
Yeah.
volunteers. So, yeah. So we should think about that though as a
Yes.
district as
If we get, we've already had that conversation back on one.
Yeah, we should tell the bike riders.
Yeah.
Wear bright colors at least, you know, don't wear a black sweatshirt, you know.
my class.
We can even talk to our bike rider and find out, make sure that the bike rider that we do have has like appropriate reflectors and possibly a light and stuff like that early morning. Maybe we can.
Or a helmet.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would wear it, but we should buy them one if they will.
I'm sure there's programs out there.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, so do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Bill made the motion. Melissa, second. Any discussion? Mr. Schenkel, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Rare?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Markey?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 8:30 PM.